Welcome to our exploration of the prophecies about the end times and events in the Middle East. For millennia, these ancient lands have been a crucible of faith and conflict, a place where empires have risen and fallen like grains of sand in an hourglass. Today, we'll delve into ancient texts and their predictions about the future, seeking to understand the whispers carried on the desert wind. In the book of Daniel, we encounter a world shrouded in mystery, where visions of strange beasts and cryptic messages hint at the fate of nations. Daniel, a man of deep faith, found himself a captive in a foreign land, yet he became a confidant of kings and a recipient of divine revelation. These weren't mere dreams, but glimpses into the very fabric of time, revealing a succession of kingdoms, each represented by a fearsome beast. These beasts, with their iron teeth and insatiable appetites, symbolize the empires that would rise and fall, leaving their mark on history. But Daniel's prophecies go beyond the rise and fall of empires. He speaks of a final kingdom, not of this world, that will stand forever. And he speaks of a figure shrouded in mystery, a prince who is to come, who will make a covenant with many, only to break it, ushering in a time of great tribulation. Daniel 9:27 speaks of this figure, who will confirm a covenant for 7 years. But in the middle of that time, he will put an end to sacrifice and offering. This prophecy has resonated through the ages, interpreted by many as a harbinger of the Antichrist, a figure of immense power who will deceive nations and wage war against the faithful. And then there's the enigmatic prophecy of the King of the North and the King of the South, locked in a perpetual struggle for dominance. Daniel 11:40-45 describes their final confrontation, a clash of civilizations that will shake the very foundations of the world. Ezekiel, a prophet who saw visions of God's glory amidst the ashes of exile, paints a vivid picture of the end times. His words, like flames dancing in the desert night, illuminate a future filled with both terror and hope. Ezekiel speaks of a time when a vast army, led by Gog and Magog, will descend upon the land of Israel. This army, drawn from the farthest corners of the earth, will be driven by an insatiable lust for conquest, seeking to plunder and destroy. But their hubris will be their undoing, for God himself will intervene, unleashing his wrath upon the invaders. Ezekiel 38 and 39 describe a cataclysmic battle where fire rains down from heaven, the earth trembles, and the forces of Gog are utterly destroyed. Yet amidst the destruction, there is a glimmer of hope. Ezekiel also prophesies the restoration of Israel, a return of the Jewish people to their ancient homeland after centuries of exile. This prophecy, once seen as a distant hope, found its fulfillment in the 20th century with the establishment of the modern state of Israel. But the story doesn't end there. Ezekiel's vision extends beyond the physical restoration of Israel to a spiritual renewal, a time when God will pour out his Spirit upon his people, transforming their hearts and making them a light to the nations. Isaiah, known for his poetic language and profound insights into the human condition, offers a glimpse into the fate of Damascus, one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world. Isaiah 17:1 states, "Behold, Damascus is about to be removed from being a city and will become a fallen ruin." This prophecy, uttered centuries ago, resonates deeply with the current state of affairs in Syria, where Damascus, once a beacon of civilization, has been ravaged by war. But Isaiah's message is not one of despair. He also speaks of a time when the nations will lay down their arms and live in peace, a time when swords will be beaten into plowshares and spears into pruning hooks. This vision of peace is not merely a utopian dream, but a promise rooted in the character of God himself. Isaiah describes a time when God will establish his reign on earth, a reign characterized by justice, righteousness, and peace. Zechariah, a prophet who saw visions of horses among myrtle trees and a flying scroll, speaks of a time when all nations will gather against Jerusalem. This siege, described in Zechariah 14, will be a defining moment in history, a final confrontation between the forces of good and evil. The nations of the world, driven by envy and hatred, will surround the holy city, intent on its destruction. but God himself will defend Jerusalem, fighting for his people as he did in ages past. Zechariah 14 verse 4 describes a dramatic event that will accompany God's intervention. On that day his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives east of Jerusalem, and the Mount of Olives will be split in two from east to west, forming a great valley, with half the mountain moving north and half moving south. This earthquake of biblical proportions will reshape the landscape and signal the return of Jesus Christ. He will come not as a helpless babe in a manger, but as a conquering king, ready to judge the nations and establish his kingdom on earth. The book of Revelation, written by John while exiled on the island of Patmos, is a tapestry of vivid imagery and symbolic language, offering a glimpse into the end times. It's a book that has captivated and challenged readers for centuries. John speaks of a figure known as the Antichrist, a charismatic leader who will deceive many with false promises and signs and wonders. This Antichrist will establish a global system of control, demanding worship and persecuting those who refuse to bow down. The time of the Antichrist's reign is known as the Great Tribulation, a period of unprecedented suffering and persecution for believers. Revelation describes a time of natural disasters, plagues and wars as the world spirals towards its final confrontation. But amidst the darkness, there is hope. Revelation describes the glorious return of Jesus Christ, who will defeat the Antichrist and his armies at the Battle of Armageddon. This final battle will mark the end of evil and the dawn of a new era. John's vision culminates in the New Jerusalem, a city of dazzling beauty and unimaginable splendor, descending from heaven to earth. This will be the eternal dwelling place of the redeemed, where there will be no more tears, pain, or death. Jesus himself, in his earthly ministry, spoke often about the end times. He didn't offer specific dates or timelines, but he did provide his followers with signs to watch for, indicators that the time of his return was drawing near. Jesus warned of wars and rumors of wars, of famines and earthquakes in various places. He spoke of the rise of false prophets who would deceive many with their lies, and he warned of increasing wickedness and a growing coldness of heart among people. But amidst these warnings, Jesus offered a message of hope and encouragement. He reminded his followers that he had overcome the world and that he would be with them always, even to the end of the age. Jesus' message is a call to readiness, to be prepared for his return at any moment. He urged his followers to live lives of faithfulness, love and service, keeping their lamps trimmed and their oil replenished. The end times, as described by Jesus, are not a time to fear, but a time to anticipate with hope. It is the culmination of God's plan for humanity, a time when he will make all things new. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the prophecies of the end times and events in the Middle East. We've explored ancient texts, seeking to understand their message for our world today. While interpretations may vary, one thing is clear. These prophecies point to a reality that transcends the here and now. The Middle East, a region steeped in history and prophecy, continues to be a focal point of global attention. As events unfold, it's essential to approach these ancient texts with humility, seeking wisdom and discernment. Stay tuned for more explorations into ancient texts and their meanings for our world today. For in the words of the prophet Daniel, those who are wise will shine like the brightness of the heavens, and those who lead many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever.